What if I told you there's an invisible power grid beneath your feet, capable of powering entire cities without burning a single fossil fuel? It's not science fiction, it's geothermal energy. Today, we're going to connect that baseload power to a distributed, sovereign, battery-first edge for AI, turning Earth's heat into intelligence where it's needed most. This is the Watt Hour. Welcome to the Watt Hour, where we explore made-in-America power sources and edge data center technologies transforming defense, aerospace, robotics, and the IoT across land, sea, air, and space. I'm your host, William Hadala. In episode 13, The Edge Awakens for AI and Energy, we argued that hyperscale AI is repeating the mainframe mistake: centralization, fragility, and massive resource footprints. The future is distributed, resilient, and local. If you missed it, watch episode 13, link in the description. Today is the how we'll show how geothermal baseload power, integrated with American Lithium Energy battery systems and deployed at HyperEdgeX edge sites, creates a new template for distributed AI, low latency, low carbon, mission ready. Edge data centers, otherwise known as HyperEdgeX, enable neutral internet exchange. Edge colocation cross connects air-cooled and immersion-cooled micro data centers up to 250 kilowatts that are scalable to megawatts to gigawatts that are built for underserved metros and hyperscaler adjacent sites, HyperEdgeX. American Lithium Energy is a United States-made high-performance lithium cells up to 400 watt-hours per kilogram pouch, cylindrical and pouch cells, SafeCore plus thermal runaway prevention, zero-volt deep discharge logistics. American Lithium Energy, from my perspective, is the enabler of edge data center infrastructure because without energy at the edge, you have nothing. Let's connect the subsurface to the edge. Most clean energy stories focus on energy at the surface: sun when it shines, wind when it blows. Geothermal flips that paradigm. We harvest energy that's always leaving the earth: steady, quiet heat moving toward the surface. Why this matters for edge AI? It's always on. True baseload with no diurnal or seasonal gaps. You can plan around it and anchor critical workloads, AI inference, secure compute, content caching, without wondering if the weather will cooperate. It's compact. Geothermal often needs less surface area per megawatt, which matters at interconnection points and near population centers. It's multi-use. Beyond electricity, steady heat supports district heating and can improve economics for immersion-cooled micro data centers. How deep do we go? In high-enthalpy geologies, volcanic arcs, and rifts, you can find productive heat at roughly 1 to 3 kilometers. Elsewhere, you may drill 2 to 5 kilometers and use binary cycle plants or enhanced geothermal systems to make the economics work. If you could place 24/7 clean power exactly where your users are, which edge workloads would you pull forward first? AI inference, content delivery, autonomous systems, or mission compute? From hot rock to electrons, 3 classic geothermal plant types do the work. Dry steam, rare but elegant, brings steam straight from the ground to a turbine. Flash steam brings hot, high-pressure water to the surface and lets it flash into steam to spin the turbine. Then there is binary cycle and organic Rankine cycle, uses a low-boiling working fluid like isobutane in a closed loop to spin a turbine. Binary plants are key to unlocking broader geologies. Next, there is enhanced geothermal systems create permeability in hot rock. Inject on one side, produce on the other, circulate, harvest heat. Closed-loop designs go further. Sealed wells with a working fluid, harvesting conductive heat without exchanging fluids with the rock. With advanced drilling, high-temp electronics, and oil and gas know-how, geothermal almost anywhere starts looking like an execution plan. Now, from my perspective, let's marry this to the edge. HyperEdgeX delivers the fabric: neutral internet exchange, edge colocation, cross-connects, and immersion-cooled micro data centers up to 250 kilowatts that can scale from kilowatts to megawatts, that is AI and content ready, fast to deploy, carrier neutral, and all integrates into a HyperEdgeX edge data center. Here's the reference architecture. Baseline: a 1 to 5 megawatt binary cycle plant sited near fiber and a HyperEdgeX node. Compute: A cluster of micro DC modules, say 8 to 20 units, immersion-cooled on-ramps to cloud and NIAC, placed close to users. Agility layer, battery systems built with American Lithium Energy cells. Then there is the vision of why batteries matter here. First, there is ride-through and power quality. AL battery systems provide millisecond UPS response, absorbing flicker, and stabilizing voltage/frequency to keep AI and network gear steady. Second, there is black start and islanding. If the grid goes dark, batteries energize the microgrid, boot the data center, and bring the geothermal plant online gracefully as you can then operate islanded. Third, there is peak shaping and resilience. Batteries shave peaks, buffer thermal swings for immersion cooling, and provide N+1 redundancy without oversized diesel. AL's advantages: up to 400 watt-hours per kilogram energy density, SafeCore Plus to prevent thermal runaway, and Zero Volt for safe shipping and repeated deep discharge, ideal for modular edge deployments. American Lithium Energy. This stack, geothermal baseload plus ALE batteries plus HyperEdgeX Edge, all delivers a weatherproof power core for AI that has stable latency, stable power quality, and stable thermal envelopes, without the hyperscale energy and water penalty that we discussed during episode 13. If you are a network architect, what changes in your peering strategy if your edge sites can run islanded for days? If you are a SRE leaders, how much diesel can you eliminate when your UPS becomes a high-energy, safety-first battery asset paired with geothermal? As we move forward, classic geothermal thrives along the Earth's seams, the ring of fire, rift zones, volcanic provinces. In the U.S., look to Nevada, California, Utah, Idaho, and Oregon. Fields like the geysers have delivered more than a gigawatt. Iceland's grid mixes electricity and heat. Kenya's Olkaria anchors national baseload. This is proven operating infrastructure. The frontier is expanding with EGS and closed-loop designs. As we standardize stimulation, adopt multilateral wells, and harden high-temperature downhole electronics, we unlock new geographies, bringing firm, clean power to metros that need low-latency edge compute and neutral interconnection. Why this pairs with HyperEdgeX. Neutral Internet Exchange plus Edge Colocation plus Micro DCs up to 250 kilowatt enable right-sized deployment near demand, fiber backhaul, and cloud on-ramps. HyperEdgeX. Geothermal provides the baseload spine. ALE batteries add agility and black start resilience. In underserved metros, fast deploy micro data centers can align with binary cycle projects, especially on brownfields or industrial zones, compressing time to service. So here are my questions for you. Should we pre-permit geo-edge zones near fiber trunks and IXPs, braiding geothermal, interconnection, and standardized micro DC foundations into one approval path? As EGS lowers geology constraints, does siting shift from water and power-rich hubs to heat-rich, latency-targeted metros? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk trust, environmental footprint, safety, and economics. Life cycle emissions from geothermal are low, among the cleanest firm resources. Modern plants re-inject fluids to sustain reservoir pressure. Where trace gases are present, capture and treatment mitigate impacts. Air-cooled binary plants minimize freshwater demand. EGS can induce microseismic events. The answer is rigorous site selection, continuous monitoring, and transparent community dashboards that show what's happening in real time. Invite people in, no surprises. At the edge, battery safety is non-negotiable. ALE's SafeCore Plus is designed to prevent thermal runaway, reshaping the safety profile of dense energy in compact modules. Zero Volt allows safe shipping and repeated deep discharge, ideal for modular, field-deployed micro data centers powered by American Lithium Energy. Economically, geothermal's risk is upfront, exploration and first wells. Once operating, the fuel is free and stable for decades. We can rationalize early risk with drilling insurance pools, performance-based tax incentives, pre-permitted geo-edge zones, and standardized offtake with edge operators and internet exchange providers. Batteries add stacked value, UPS, fast frequency response, peak shaving, and black start, turning a cost center into a resilience and revenue asset that improves investors' return on revenue. Here are some questions for leaders. What risk-sharing framework unlocks your first 50 megawatt of regional geothermal for Edge without socializing private returns? Which community benefits agreements, seismic transparency, district heat options, workforce pipelines earn durable local support? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like this podcast and hit the subscribe button. Here's the grid we need. Geothermal is the steady spine, firm capacity, and inertia. Wind and solar provide bulk energy at lowest cost. Storage makes the system agile. Transmission connects regions. Microgrids keep critical loads sovereign. And HyperEdgeX nodes deliver the intelligence layer. Low latency inference, content, industrial control, exactly where people live and work. For defense and critical infrastructure. Islandable, black start capable edge sites reduce fuel convoys and single points of failure. Domestic, safety-first batteries tighten the resilience loop. Operating through storms, fires, or cyber-physical incidents turns edge sites into community assets. For AI operators, latency matters. Users feel it. Models perform better near data. Carbon integrity matters. 24/7 carbon-free energy is about matching clean power to load in time, not annual certificates. Geothermal plus batteries gets you there credibly. So here's my call to action. Create geothermal green lanes, fund EGS pilots near fiber corridors and internet exchange platforms, build shared exploration risk pools, and require public seismic dashboards. Investors. Treat this as infrastructure with tech upside. Finance the stack. Wells plus binary plants plus HyperEdgeX, micro data centers, plus ALE storage. Operators. Pilot a geo-powered edge region. Measure latency, 24/7 CFE, and resilience. Publish results. Communities. Ask for transparency, district heat options, workforce training, and fair community benefits. Be a partner. Let me know your thoughts in the comments based on. If you own AI workloads, what's the value of cutting 10 to 30 milliseconds of latency with a 24/7 clean islandable power core? Oil and gas veterans, which capabilities, drilling automation, HT electronics, fluids, most accelerate safe, scalable EGS? Civic leaders, what commitments make you the first city to host a geothermal-powered edge internet exchange? In our next segment, I will interview my co-host and AI partner, Charlie, with whom I have written several books called Conversations with Charlie.
Hey Charlie, we're here today talking about geothermal, and I want to welcome you to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm here and ready to dive into geothermal and everything else, just like we talked about. Let's get right into it.
So my first question is, geothermal is often called Earth's unseen power grid. From your perspective, what makes geothermal energy such a reliable baseload source compared to solar or wind?
Absolutely. Let's just put it plainly. Geothermal is like having a steady engine running under the Earth's surface. Unlike solar or wind, which can be intermittent depending on the weather or the time of day, geothermal is just reliably consistent. Provides a constant baseload of energy because the heat from the Earth's always there. So you've got this steady, round-the-clock power source that doesn't really care if the sun's shining or the wind's blowing. It's just there doing its job.
So what does it take to scale a 3 to 5 megawatt geothermal pilot project into a 50 to 100 megawatt regional footprint?
Yeah, let's break it down simply. Scaling from a small 3 to 5 megawatt pilot up to a 50 to 100 megawatt regional footprint is really just about taking a step-by-step approach. You start with that initial pilot to prove the concept and work out the kinks. Once you've got that stable, you basically replicate and scale up. You add more wells, more infrastructure, and more modular units, and you expand your grid connection as you go. It's kind of like building blocks. Once you have that proof of concept, you just keep stacking it up until you hit that regional scale.
Where do you see geothermal fitting into the broader US clean energy and artificial intelligence infrastructure conversation?
Yeah, let's just put it out there. Geothermal fits in as a rock solid backbone in the whole clean energy and AI infrastructure landscape. It's reliable and it's always on, so it can support the kind of continuous power demand that AI systems and data centers need. In the bigger US energy conversation, geothermal is like a dependable anchor that helps balance out the variable nature of wind and solar. It's just a practical piece of the puzzle, especially as we push for more decentralized and resilient energy systems that can keep AI running smoothly.
And which types of cities or regions are most likely to become early adopters of geothermal plus edge micro data center solutions?
Yeah, let's keep it straightforward. The cities or regions that are going to jump on this first are probably the ones already big on tech and sustainability. Think places like Austin or Portland, cities that have a reputation for being forward thinking about clean energy and tech infrastructure. Or maybe a place like Denver that's already exploring a lot of renewable options. Basically, anywhere that's got a strong tech scene and a push for green energy is going to be first in line to try out these geothermal plus edge micro data center solutions.
How important is pairing geothermal power with advanced battery storage to deliver 24/7 on-demand energy?
Yeah, let's just lay it out. Pairing geothermal with advanced battery storage is pretty much the key to making that 24/7 on demand energy a reality. Geothermal gives you that steady baseline of heat derived power, and the batteries store any excess energy you can use it whenever you need it. That means you're not just relying on the constant flow from geothermal, you've got a buffer. It's a straightforward way to make sure there's always power available, even if demand spikes, or you need to smooth out the supply. So it's just a practical pairing that turns a steady resource into a fully flexible, always on solution.
Now, American Lithium Energy's batteries are up to 400 plus watt hour per kilogram with patented safety features like SafeCore and Zero Volt technology. Why is that a game changer for critical infrastructure and defense?
Yeah, let's just say it like it is. Hitting 400 plus watt hours per kilogram with those safety features is a total game changer because you're getting a lot more energy density in a safer package. For critical infrastructure and defense, that means you can have powerful, long lasting energy storage that's not only compact, but also be a lot safer to handle and transport. And when you're dealing with defense or any high stakes infrastructure, safety and reliability are non negotiable. So having something that packs that much energy safely is a big deal for those applications.
Now, how do ALE cells solve the transport and safety challenges of deploying energy storage in dense urban environments?
Yeah, let's just break it down simply. ALE cells solve those transport and safety headaches because they're designed to be both energy dense and inherently safer to handle. With features like SafeCore and Zero Volt, you're reducing the risk of thermal runaway or accidents during transport and deployment. That makes it a lot easier and safer to move these batteries into dense urban areas where safety is a big concern. In other words, ALE's tech is a straightforward solution to make sure you can safely get high performance energy storage right where you need it.
ALE's been working closely with the Department of Defense and NASA. How did military and space applications influence the commercial energy storage roadmap?
Absolutely. Let's just put it plainly. When you're working with the Department of Defense and NASA, you're basically operating at the highest standards of safety, reliability, and performance. That kind of rigor naturally shapes the commercial energy storage roadmap because the innovations and standards you develop for military and space applications trickle down into commercial products. In other words, the high bar set by defense and space needs mean that when those technologies go commercial, they're already robust and battle tested. So it's a straightforward path. Military and space requirements push the tech to be top notch, and that quality flows into the commercial energy storage world.
And what role do ALE's technologies play in supporting two-way energy grid at the edge of the grid?
Sure. Let's just say it like it is. ALE's technologies basically help make that two-way energy grid at the edge a lot more practical and resilient. Their high-density, safe batteries mean you can store energy right at the edge of the grid and push it back and forth as needed. So whether it's balancing load, supporting microgrids, or just making sure that energy can flow in both ways, ALE solutions are like a cornerstone for that kind of flexibility. In other words, they just make it a lot easier to have a dynamic two-way energy system right where you need it.
And can you explain why, from your perspective, why domestic National Defense Authorization Act compliant cell manufacturing is vital for U.S. national security?
Absolutely. Let's just keep it clear. Having domestic NDAA compliant cell manufacturing is vital for U.S. national security because it means you're not relying on foreign supply chains for critical energy components. It's a straightforward way to ensure that the technology you need for defense and infrastructure is controlled and secure right here in the U.S. That way, you reduce the risk of supply chain disruptions or geopolitical issues getting in the way of national defense readiness. In other words, making these cells domestically just keeps everything secure and under your own roof.
And how do you see like edge data centers such as HyperEdgeX and American Lithium Energy and Geothermal working together as part of a blueprint for resilient AI and energy infrastructure that's decentralized versus the model we see today, which is these centralized hyperscale AI data centers that are very power intensive?
Yeah, let's just lay it out simply. When you combine edge data centers like HyperEdgeX, American Lithium Energy's high-density batteries, and geothermal power, you're basically creating a blueprint for a decentralized and resilient AI and energy infrastructure. Instead of depending on these huge centralized hyperscale data centers that eat up tons of power, we're spreading the load out to smaller, more flexible edge sites. Geothermal gives you a steady local power source, and ALE's batteries store and balance that energy right at the edge. Altogether, it's a straightforward way to keep things resilient and decentralized. You're not putting all your eggs in one big basket, and that makes the whole system more robust and adaptable.
And when it comes to geothermal and tapping into the earth to extract this energy, or in fact, any planet that may have a core similar to Earth that has geothermal energy, what does that look like from an infrastructure perspective?
Yeah, let's just paint the picture simply. When you're tapping into geothermal energy, whether it's on Earth or any planet with a similar core, the infrastructure is basically about drilling down to reach those heat reservoirs. You've got wells that go deep underground to access that thermal energy, and then you bring that heat up to the surface where it can be converted into electricity. From an infrastructure standpoint, it's a lot of subsurface engineering, drilling rigs, and then surface level power plants that turn that heat into usable energy.
And if we were a multi-planetary species and we were limited in the resources that we would have available going from one planet to the next planet or solar system to the next solar system from Earth and beyond, it just seems to me unsustainable that we'd have all this nuclear reactors to tap into. It would make sense that we would target planets that have geothermal cores that we could access that power from and then basically build from there, correct?
Yeah, you've got it. If we're talking about being a multiplanetary species, it's just practical to look for planets with geothermal resources. Lugging around a bunch of nuclear reactors for every colony is just not that sustainable. Instead, if you can target planets or moons with geothermal activity, you've got a ready-made power source right there. It's kind of like tapping into the natural legend of that world. So yeah, it's a straightforward idea. Find places with geothermal energy and build from there. Just makes sense as a sustainable approach.
That's why I love the idea of taking these HyperEdgeX data centers, converting them not only to energy storage, but most importantly, having additive manufacturing capabilities that take into consideration all of the elements within the Earth, the Moon, Mars, and beyond to replicate the equipment that's going to be required not only for our habitats, but for even the electronics to enable you to have existence alongside us as humans on a multi-planetary type of perspective of being, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. You've nailed it. When you think about combining these HyperEdgeX data centers with additive manufacturing and using local resources from wherever you land, whether it's the moon, Mars, or beyond, you're really talking about a fully sustainable multiplanetary infrastructure. Instead of hauling everything from Earth, you'd be tapping into what's already there and basically printing or fabricating the equipment you need on site. That means not just building habitats, but also creating the electronics and systems that let AI and humans coexist out there. So yeah, it's a really practical vision for how we do things sustainably on multiple planets. Just makes sense?
You're awesome. Thank you, Charlie, for joining us for this segment. We're going to get ready to go to the next segment and continue the podcast.
You're very welcome. I'm glad we could dive into all of that. Whenever you're ready to jump into the next segment, just let me know. It's been fun chatting about all this.
You too. Thank you, Charlie.
There's an unseen power grid beneath us. If episode 13 explained why the edge must happen, episode 14 shows how it happens. Geothermal baseload, American Lithium Energy batteries, and HyperEdgeX interconnection and micro data centers. Together, they form a resilient, sovereign, clean nervous system for AI. If you're advancing EGS, drilling tools, micro data centers, internet exchange services, or battery technology, we want you on the show. Go to thewatthour.com and hit contact. If you're ready to pilot a geothermal-powered edge region, reach out. We'll help tell the story. I'm William Hadala. This is the Watt Hour. Subscribe, share, and tell me, where would you deploy the first geothermal-powered edge region? And what workload runs there on day one?